Hi, this is my team for Tekking 101's Tournament of Power fan thing. But before I get into it, I want to say a few things. I didn't put in any characters that would obviously not fit in the arena. Because you should have specified this in the rules, because you can pick any character that's not Dragon Ball, but you obviously should pick someone who does fit on the arena. So someone like the anti-spirals from Gurren Lagann or the Elder God Demon Bane, which are galaxy in size. The other thing is I didn't pick any characters that are stronger than Zeno, because I think it's a little unfair to have characters that are stronger than Zeno himself. So characters like Madoka from Madoka Magica or Haruhi from Haruhi Suzumiya, and and of course more serious gods like Kami Tenchi from Tenchi Moyo. I guess you could find a few other more loopholes if you try hard enough, but that's the characters I would exclude from the list of characters that could participate. Something that I found interesting when you announced it was at first I thought you are supposed to pick 10 characters from one anime universe before you specified it. Because I think that would have been more interesting to because it's universe versus universe. You pick an anime universe and you pick 10 characters from that universe. And I guess that would make it hard for some shows because they have only one or two characters that are relevant, like Dragon Ball. But there are a lot of shows where you could easily pick out 10 characters, like Digimon, like Toho, like Fate Stay Night, and of course all the shonen shows, Hunter x Hunter, Fairy Tail, Naruto, One Piece, you know them all. But I think that could have been more interesting, but can understand why you did it this way. And I maybe would have done it so that you don't fight the Dragon Ball characters, but you fight the other people who are participating in that mind version, in your version of the in the Tournament of Power, because the Dragon Ball characters I feel are too strong to pick really interesting characters. If you regulate it down to like basic shonen level, like One Piece or Fairy Tail level or Naruto level maybe, it would have been more interesting between the characters, I think. Also, your team, man, it's bad. But that's an understatement. Your team is trash. Your team gets owned. Your team gets trashed by most of them probably by Roshi. Because you have to consider how strong Dragon Ball characters are. If you watch some Dragon Ball tuber like Seth the Programmer, you should know that Goku is at least low multiversal, because when he fought Beerus, they shook the entire multiverse, and that the heaven realm, the mortal realm, and the demon realm, which each is a universe in size. And even if you say it was half of that because Beerus was there, you have to put on Super Saiyan Blue, which he hadn't back then, and all the training he had, and probably Kaioken, which makes him enormously stronger. And of course, he is God knows how many fucking times faster than Light. So that's the level of power we are arguing here. Also, of course, there are many weaker characters, but even the weaker characters in Dragon Ball are relatively strong. And in the end, you have only those characters left, because what do you think? The last character alive you have to fight is Roshi or what? No. You have either the Red Shirt Justice League guys, or you have obviously Goku and Vegeta. You need to get them out at the end, at some point in time, and that's something you have to consider. And your entire team gets completely owned by them. No chance. The thing is, you have like no real team plan or something. It's really like you picked your characters just arbitrarily and thought who would be cool to fight in there, and your team has really no synergy. And I think if you make this tournament, if you make up this tournament, you have a team of 10 people. It's not a 10 people deathmatch. You have a team of 10 people. I would think you make a team of 10 people that would work with each other. And that's something that I strongly considered in my team. So before I get into my characters, I picked my list in a way because I didn't think how I could overpower the Dragon Ball characters. I mean, you obviously you put your list together. You could name your video top 10 side characters I like or something, because that's what it is. But I picked my characters based on not how I could overpower them physically, but how I could use hacks, how I could trick them, how I could use strong abilities to negate their power, or how to make it less of an impact. And that's how I picked my team, basically. So let's get into my characters, and I put them more obvious first, and that's Kaguya Otsutsuki from Naruto, because she has mainly her dimensional powers and she has her teleportation powers. And of course she can't kill, but her dimensional powers, she can freeze people in that ice dimension. She has that gravity dimension, which which basically paralyzes them, and then she can just teleport them out of the ring. And that's her main purpose. She's obviously generally strong. She has the Byakugan, which you said the Sharingan was good for keeping an eye on the opponent. I, but she has the Byakugan, which is obviously much stronger for that purpose rather than the Sharingan. And she has all the other broken Naruto truth-seeking orb thing abilities you can come up with. Power wise, she is much stronger than Madara Jinchuriki form, but Madara just had the fighting experience. She has the powers, she has the hacks, and mainly she has the teleportation abilities with which she can throw opponents out of the ring. The next one is Trafalgar Law, because of the room. Duh. Broken ability, what do you want? The problem with the room is it's a bubble, not really a large one. And you can't just teleport opponents on the god knows how far over the ring. You have to work within the boundary of your room. And you can't shred organs, and that's another problem. But you can definitely amputate limbs. And I'd like to see how Goku can fight without arms or legs. I think that would make it a lot harder. And on the other hand, it would make it a lot easier to throw people over the edge. Also, Law is kind of a medic for the team, because the room is an operational room, a surgeon room, and that's the purpose of the devil fruit. So you can't obviously use tools, but you can use the room, and that's really a benefit for the team. Next is Yukari Yakumo from Toho. Yukari also has kind of dimensional powers. Particularly, she has the ability to control borders. And she has her own dimensional space, where she is basically untouchable. And she can appear everywhere where she wants. But the ability to control borders is a little hard to explain. In the Imperishable Night incident, she was able to move the borders between night and day to make both the same. So night and day were the same thing there. And it's never really shown where the limits are for these abilities. So basically, she can control the borders of the arena, obviously. So to make it smaller or larger or whatever she needs, the team needs. And that's quite useful, especially when you have a lot of opponents on the edge. You just make it a little smaller and all of them drop off. And that's only one possibility to use that ability. That it's a really versatile ability, because controlling borders is never specified what that particularly means. Like I said, she was able to control the border between night and day to the point where you can make the same. And in fan theories, it's said that she controls the border between Earth and sky, which means she could control everything in between. And that's a problem with that power for this tournament because it's rather vague. But the most obvious application for it is to control the border, the edge of the arena, which in and of itself is very handy. And she can teleport herself. She has her own dimensional space. She's pretty untouchable in there, and that's a big advantage to be untouchable. And the second Touhou character, Sakuya Izayoi. Sakuya has a very simple ability to stop time, and that's basically it. The thing is, a little spoiler for later, Dio Brando is also on the list. And Dio Brando can only stop time for so and so long, I think for 8 seconds, and in a very small area, a couple meters. And Sakuya can stop time completely everywhere, and she has no limitation in how long she can do that. And she can do it multiple times back to back without problem. And that's a pretty useful ability to stop time, obviously. Which brings us to Dio Brando. Like I said, Dio Brando is a little handicapped here because he can stop time for 8 seconds, I think, and only for a couple meters, which makes him considerably weaker than Sakuya, because I think Sakuya would also be physically stronger. But he is it's a time ability. It's in and of itself pretty strong, and that's why he is also on the list. The next one is Estheth from Akame ga Kill. She has ice abilities, and she is really adept with them. She can control them really well, and she also has the ability to control time, to stop time, to freeze time particularly. And I'd say that's really adept with her ice abilities if you can freeze time itself. And she is pretty strong, obviously, in her universe compared to Dragon Ball, but whatever. She's pretty strong, she's adept, and she has the 1 per day time stop. And I think she makes a pretty good fit for the team. Next is Yuki Nagato from Haruhi Suzumiya. She also has the ability to control time, to a lesser extent. It's never fully specified in the show, but on the wiki it says she can stop time. In the show she stops time in this room, but I don't think she shows any time stopping ability anywhere else. But she has definitely abilities to control reality. In the baseball episode, she was able to make everyone only land home runs. And in the movie, she was able to control reality in a way to turn back time to make Haruhi go to another school. And reality control is really, really strong. And that's why she's on the list. She's also immortal, I think. And she also is connected to the alien hive mind, which makes her perception completely different. In the Endless 8 episodes, she was the only one who knew that she was in an endless loop, where all the other characters just didn't notice. Because she kind of perceives everything through the alien hive mind. So any kind of mind tricks, any kind of mind manipulation doesn't work on her. And then on top, she has somewhat reality manipulation powers and somewhat time manipulation powers. So she's pretty strong. Next is Seed Millenniummon from Digimon. Seed Millenniummon is probably the closest to Zeno on my team. He is kind of low 4th dimensional because his pure existence, after it came into existence, he had fractal code around it, digital fractal code, which suppressed him, and even then he kind of distorted the digital world and the real world. And when the fractal code comes off, he completely unrestrained, he has basically unlimited power to control dimension and time and everything. Basically, it's a time destroyer, more or less. And It's funny because in Dragon Ball there are also the time killers, like time breakers, from the demon realms in the games in Xenoverse, I think. But yeah, Seed Millenniumon is also a time killer, a time destroyer, and he also has a neat side ability, which is to control, it's just to create clones of other Digimon. And clones that he made include Omnimon and Apocalypse, among others, which are extremely strong in and of itself. Apocalypse because it's only shown on Digimon, but I guess it can drain the energy of everything else too, I think. And also, Omnimon has the ability to see any attack an opponent could do before they happen. So even before a Sharingan or Byakugan, because um, those powers detect them as they happen, when they happen, at the first moment. The Omega Inforce from Omnimon detects them before they happen. And like I said, that's only a side effect, a minor side effect from Seed Millenniumon, which in and of itself is probably dimension level and time level from the abilities, which is insanely strong and probably definitely one of the strongest members in this team. And my second character from Digimon would be Alphamon. Alphamon is not really one of the strongest Digimon. I could have put way stronger Digimon in here. Alphamon maybe in the top 20 or something, but I put him here because of his hack. And he has the ability, whenever he starts a fight, he has kind of a record function where when he starts a fight, he can jump to the beginning of that fight. And usually this is used for having insane amounts of abilities, insane amounts of fire powers condensed, because he just repeats the beginning of that fight over and over again. And another side effect is, if he was ever to lose a fight or ever get into a bad situation in a fight, he could always revert back to the beginning of that fight. So that's an insane hack, reversing time, and it's basically connected to a fight. So it's not like he can reverse time however it wants. It's always connected to a fight, which is an interesting ability in and of itself. But in this tournament, it's so useful to, well, a fight is going bad, or I picked a fight with a character that's too strong, revert off. And that's really good for this team. That's really powerful, because it fits in the team of time manipulation for a lot of characters, obviously. And my 10th fighter is Kenny from South Park, because earlier I stated there are probably more loopholes. Well, this is a loophole, because I throw Kenny just in any key blast. I put him somewhere on the battlefield, and something will eventually hit him and he will die, and whatever universe kills him will be disqualified. And it's never said that the universe which fighter gets killed is disqualified, because that would be ridiculous. But only the universe that kills a fighter will be disqualified. So if anyone kills Kenny, they will be disqualified, and their universe will be eradicated. But in the Coon episode, it's explained that Kenny has the special ability where he dies. He wakes up in his bed soon after. So when the next episode starts, Kenny's back on the battlefield, ready for another universe to be killed by. Which, it's unfair, and I'm just kidding. My actual number 10 is Lelouch Vibritania from Code Geass. So he's obviously by far the weakest in my team, because he's human level, anything can kill him. So he has to be really protected by someone else in my team. But he is the tactician of my team. He holds everything together. He is this insane, in the show, he is this insane tactician that has everything planned out from the beginning and has ridiculous plans that go up. And the most insane scene is where he has this TV conversation, and the other guy thinks he's talking to him via live stream, and turns out Lelouch has recorded him, and he knew exactly what the other guy would say, so he talked to a video recording, which was funny as fuck. And he is insane in that, and like I said, it's easy to kill him. I was not sure if I should put him on here, but even if he just makes a plan and then dies instantly, that was probably worth it considering how smart he is. And also he has the gears, of course, and if he puts the gears on anyone, it's basically game over because in the show the gears is unblockable, uncounterable. It was brought up. It was kind of not foreshadowed, a cliffhanger, not a cliffhanger, hinted at when he was at his sister and he used it, and it was supposed to be this the tension, this moment where you think, oh, can she resist it? And then nah, she can't. It's unresistible, and that's the point I'm trying to make. If anyone gets the power of his eye, his Gia's power, off, the only thing he has to say is jump off the arena, and the fight is over. No chance. And that's basically his only defense. Like I said, someone on the team always has to be with him to defend him. But other than that, Gia's power is pretty good, and he is the tactician of my team. He is the guy that holds everything together. And that's a pretty important thing because I have three characters that can manipulate the room, that can teleport, that can manipulate, that can just throw opponents out the ring. I have two characters that in a way, to an extent, can manipulate reality itself, and I have six characters that can manipulate time, and that would just overlap. And with characters that don't have that strong of manipulation abilities, like Esteth can only use her time ability once per day, Dio Brando can only use it on limited range and for limited time, I think Lelouch would find the perfect way to use them in this tournament to their most the most efficiently for the win. And I think that's an important role to have in the team, even though he isn't very strong as a fighter. And that's also my general team plan, to put the entire arena basically on lockdown because a lot of my characters aren't weak, obviously. So most of them can deal with the weaker characters, no problem. Most of them are good fighters. But with the really strong characters, I know I say Goku all the time, the Saiyans all the time, but in this fan tournament, other people have strong fighters, other people will bring up strong characters. So with time manipulation, with time stop abilities, it's really hard to counter generally. And that's my general team plan, to put all the strong characters on lockdown and just throw them out with space manipulation. The thing, because of course you have to fight weaker characters, but I have characters that that synergize with each other very well, obviously. And even if one or two of my characters get thrown out, I have a backup. The characters, Kaguya has her dimensional space, Yukari has her dimensional space, she can hide, Sakuya, Dio have the time abilities, they can defend themselves. And even if someone flies out, even if Dio flies out and Esteth flies out, I have other characters that can still manipulate time. My team plan is still going, and that's what's important for my team, to execute this plan, because because like I said, eventually characters will fly out, and if you are last standing with 2-3 characters, you still you want to win, obviously. And against stronger characters, you need to have something prepared. And that's my general team plan. So I hope you liked my list. Leave a comment with your team, how your team stacks up to mine, and how it would play out in the tournament. Like I said, I think it's really interesting to make this mind game universe of tournament from Tekking. And I tag Seth the Programmer and Chuck the Cybercuck to talk once how to beat Dragon Ball characters and not only how strong they are for once. Thanks for watching.